in Smart 24 TV, where we drive your business. And today is the final day of the week, and of course, the 19th of January 2024. Well, yet a good morning for us. And of course, we're already here from 7 till 10 a.m. And of course, we are, having discussions. And of course, yesterday we got sad news, and of course, on the loss of our prominent member of parliament, the Iron Lady, as she was called. That was none other than Honorable Cecilia Gual. She has been, a front person in the opposition. She was once a leader of opposition, and we pray that may her soul rest in peace. And of course, for the contributions she has done for our constituency, the Okolo constituency, and we hope that her great works. I mean, she was honored yesterday. People, had different views on what she had done as a person, and of course, away from politics. She has done tremendous. She was an all-round person, regardless. Away from the politics, she was an all-round person. And of course, for her great work and commitment to serve Uganda, we really hope that she will be honored very well, and may her soul rest in peace. Well, the lioness of Lango goes to rest, and of course, was born 1946, and she passed on yesterday. We got the news yesterday, and we hope that burial arrangements are going to be made. And of course, it's so sad that she's left with only 1 year, two to 1 year to wrap up her term, but anyway, for the good works, for this, actually, she started service in the late 90s, and of course, till date, she's been a member of parliament representing our constituency. And of course, we pray that her soul rest in peace. Yes, that is what has been transpired yesterday away from the non-alignment movement that we have in our very own country, Uganda. Well, in today's discussion, we want to be looking at the role of the youth in this very the non-alignment movement. What can we as youth tap into? What can we, because the last time, the last host, Abidjan, actually managed to have the youth and women forum, yeah, and of course, which Uganda hopes to host, since they're now they're going to be we're going to chair the NAM for these 3 years. Yeah, so we want to tap into some of this initiative. Well, Abidjan, it was Abidjan, actually, it was Abidjan Youth and Women Forum. That is what they called it. That is the initiative. They started as a country, and of course, it has, cut across all the NAM members. So, well, of course, in November last year, they came up with an investment and young entrepreneurs forum in Baku. And of course, this forum was aimed at scaling entrepreneurs, and of course, encouraging investment into their country with participation of local and international organizations, representatives of government agencies, businessmen, investors, experts, and startups, and to inform them about, the purpose was to inform them about the investment opportunities, to develop new vision in the field of young entrepreneurs in Abidjan. So we want to take the same initiative, actually, as you can, to put this front in front. You can't talk about the youth and leave alone the girl child and maybe the women, because the youth are actually holds a bigger population in Uganda, and of course women, they say they are vulnerable, but of course which is true. And of course, well, the Minister of Gender, that is Amongi, actually emphasized that there is need for us to have this initiative, to get involved in this initiative. Well, Uganda is taking over the NAM's 3-year leadership from Abidjan, which it had since 2019. And of course, due to the COVID inconveniences, they took longer. That is why they took a little bit, 2019 to 2024 took some time because of the inconveniences of COVID-19. Well, speaking at during speaking with the NAM Women's Conference in Kampala, she added that women of Uganda are saying they seek to establish the NAM Women's Forum Secretariat in Uganda, which could help, mobilize the women in, pushing for a greater economy. And of course, the NAM Youth and Women's Forum was established in Abidjan. Yeah, and of course, Uganda is ready to harmonize and negotiate on how they can actually chair this forum as well. Well, of course, she noted that women in Uganda are the poorest, are in the poorest brackets, which is true. And of course, they have closed that gender gap. The disparity between the men and women is quite huge in Uganda. And of course, the United Nations has estimated that we require 306 billion to facilitate for this very initiative that we are calling for. So, as youth of Uganda, having told you what the initiative of what Abidjan did for their youth, you realize that they were training them, and they were training them. There was also an Islamic corporation that they, initiated. Definitely, the different organizations, the different startups, their purpose to actually fund them. Yeah, so definitely that is something I believe Abidjan has done with its term of being the chairmanship of the NAM. So I believe, us given this opportunity, I believe there is a way forward that we can push for youth engagement into these different initiatives, the different programs that government has set up. I mean, yoga, and maybe the PDM, the Price Development Model, actually was for everyone, everyone, but most especially the youth, because if you look at the unemployment rate in Uganda, it actually doubled even last year. So definitely, and of course, the youth were largely affected. Why? Because when you look at the youth, you look at the girl child, and of course, there is a lot of early pregnancies, early marriages, and of course, most of them tend to be in the informal sector. So these initiatives that the government has been coming up were set up to facilitate these women and youth and other men as well, those that are into the informal sector, to build something for them that are called house income initiatives. Yeah. So they give you the funds, and you find something productive to do with that money. Well, of course, in Abidjan, the forum was there. Their theme was the role of youth in promoting innovation and technologies and strengthening the development of startups. Yeah, and of course, youth having a brilliant mind, they are at exposure of coming up with different innovations. We've seen different groups of youth come up to do different innovations. Some have come up with applications, some have come up with different, I saw someone that came up with briquettes. I mean, there is a lot, but of course the only challenge that we've been having over time is the challenge of financing. Once these innovations are made, I mean, they feel there is no involvement in government, yeah, or probably they do not have what it takes. Well, of course, still here, and of course, there was an exhibition. Actually, there was also a startup exhibition that presented a lot of innovations, food and agriculture technologies, the green industry, fintech, games and applications, environment and renewable energy, smart technologies, aviation and space technology. There was also logistics and smart city robotics. And of course, I know for Uganda, I think we can benchmark on agriculture because it's the backbone of our country. But of course, if any other innovations, Yeah, because now take an instance, these guys that came up with those guys in charge of Chira Motors. I mean, most of them were youth students of Makerere University. So it had to take them some time for them to prove that they had what it takes for government to come in and facilitate them. So that is why we need such initiatives. Yeah, the Women Secretariat. Yeah, that can come to facilitate both, because it rotates around the youth and women. Yeah. So according to the Minister of Gender, she said that the Secretariat Innovation will position Uganda and NAM to tackle issues affecting women. Well, of course, those the women, and of course the goals include reducing poverty, ensuring education for women, provision of cheap capital for women, and providing skills, of course, women and youth, those that are into small, medium enterprises, things regarding taxation, the paperwork that is needed for someone to, have a license. It is so intense at some point. There has to be a gap. There has to be that the gap has to be filled. We want to see young entrepreneurs, having the same rights as, not the same, almost kind of the same rights as, these investors that come into the country, because there is a tendency of, the investors being, on a safer side than these very own citizens of our very own country, Uganda. And of course, she also encouraged women to participate in different initiatives that government has set for them, go for training. I mean, we've seen different initiatives. I saw the trainings that, they always call upon youth to come and train. There is shoemaking, there is saloon, there is makeup. I mean, at least I can't say government has tried as possible as they can to make sure that everyone benefits from these very initiatives that they have in place. But anyway, there is a lot that needs to be done in terms of exposure. The youth have to be educated on the purpose of these initiatives. Yeah, once they are given the funds, how are they going to use them sparingly so that they can have profit out of them, instead of using them for their own benefits right there. Well, of course, we're 14 minutes past 7 a.m. And of course, when you talk about Uganda and the youth, I believe we have a long way to go. Of course, we've seen the chairperson of the National Youth Council also come in to advocate for youth inclusion. Yeah, for youth inclusion in all sectors. And of course, we've seen there is a like of Ariga, who actually is a climate diplomat, and a co-founder of Debt for Climate Change Uganda. And of course, those are some of the youth that are, fronting Uganda to reach global recognition. And of course, with the different initiatives that have set into place, definitely, I believe, with the representation that we have, in Parliament and of course other entities, I believe we can do something for ourselves as Uganda. Of course, this conversation is going to be still going on. And of course, we shall be coming right back at 8 to discuss more on what the youth can do to tap from the Non-Alignment Summit. What can we tap from our former hosts, and now that we are planning to host the Youth and Women Forum in Uganda. Well, right about now, we're going to go and look at what is happening into the press, and of course, to know away from what is happening from the NAM. Well, of course, I have the Daily Monitor and the New Vision, and of course, making headlines here. Of course, they honor the late, who's now the late Cecilia Gual, the lioness of Lango, goes to rest. Yeah, she was actually very vocal. She's, I think, growing up, I think she's one of the members of parliament that I used to sit down, and I loved listening to, really, because she was really vocal and she was advocating for things. Today in the Daily Monitor, why IGG raided Government Investment Authority, and of course officials from the inspectorate are said to have swarmed into the offices of the Ghana Investment Authority to investigate claims that a group of staff were tampering with documents that are key on the ongoing probe into the mismanagement of the agency. And of course, police foil position protests on bad roads, and of course plans to inject 120 billion into Uganda Airlines sparks rage. Yeah. Of course, here in the New Vision, we see Logwal, of course the famous quotes of the Iron Lady. Of course, MPs were eulogizing her upon her departure, and of course giving their last words on the works and what they know about her. And of course IGAD condemns Sudan conflict. Of course the president was hosting the IGAD summit yesterday. Actually, a lot is happening in the country away from the non-alignment movement, and of course after this it's going to be the G77 plus China that is going to come in as well. That's also going to be the talk of the town as well. And of course, more world leaders arrive. Of course, G77 summit opens and emphasizes debt. Yeah, emphasis also is going to be made on debt, and of course, as was also grappling with the 96 trillion debt. Of course, we have surpassed the mark. Usually it's always 90 trillion, and of course Uganda has surpassed it, so we are in dire need of help. And of course here while the Iron Lady melts at 77, and of course great works that she had done. And of course IGG raiding investment agency, and of course no money to pay for job losses as agencies merge, says government. And of course the Public Service Ministry requires more than 79 billion to pay off thousands of government employees affected by planned merging of several public agencies. And of course the ministry has, however, indicated that this is one of the unfolded priorities that it has listed for action for this financial year. So that is what is happening. And of course, police foil opposition protests on potholes. Yeah. And of course, government seeks 10 billion to breed more lions. And of course, we have actually very few lions. We have very few. Someone may think that they're almost extinct in Uganda. So there is need for that to improve also on our tourism. Yeah, we have to also look into that. And of course, MPs demand action on Bugoma Forest Reserve. Of course, disasters killed over 1,000 people in 2023. The disasters, the floods, the landslide, the mudslides, where over 1,000 people perished due to the natural disasters or the natural calamities that we have in Uganda. And of course, a plan to inject 120 billion into Uganda Airlines sparks rage. Legislators of the House Committee on Budget were enraged by this budget right here. And of course, right about now, we're into the traffic updates. As you can see, the road that actually roundabout the fairway roundabout, yes, as you're heading to the road that goes to all the way to Acacia, all the way to about now. And of course, having the fact that most residents come from that side, and today being a Friday, definitely expectations are really there when it comes to traffic. The traffic is heavy. Those that are coming all the way from Tinda, Bukoto, coming from Acacia, all that side. Yeah, so you can see movement. There is some movement, but of course expectations are going to be that in a few, when it's possible, they're going to be halting the vehicles right about now. Of course, it's foggy. The weather is foggy in these days, so definitely, though it's just just 7. It is foggy, it's as if it's just 6. Well, it is the weather these days, but of course I see there is traffic. Yeah, they had been halted by just in a few minutes, and of course those that are heading that side, as you can see, are very few vehicles, because I don't think there are very many workplaces right there. Yeah, and of course we see order. I've actually, the whole week we saw a lot of order, and those that are heading to Lugogo, those that are heading to all the way to Nakawa. Yeah, we can see there is no traffic. Actually, those that are coming in from the city center, there is no traffic as expected. Yeah, because I mean there is order, because some cars have been halted, those that come from Tinda, Koto, all that side. Yeah, so not so much is going on the road. As you can see right there, it's just 7, a few minutes past 7, and not a lot is happening on the road. Well, expectations, and of course, as you know, opposition is looking into the fact that there are potholes, and then there is also that has to be looked into. But so far on the road, on traffic here, these are clean roads actually, not a lot. There is clear, the roads are clear that head to that direction. Yeah, and of course you can see order is there. Cars are not so many, and we hope that around 8 people are going to be coming in. People are going to be coming in as not so much, but also getting their work places. Yeah. Well, that is it for our traffic updates today. And of course, we're at around Mtinda Bukoto Road, as you were seeing right there. Well, we are just 24 minutes past 7 a.m. And of course, we're going for a short commercial break. We shall be back with East Africa and international business news. Stick around.